So then the man of the hour, the Tower Power, Dick the Boozer, and the rest of the plumbing crew came out through the crowd to the ring to complete silence. When they turned their music off, you can hear a mouse pissing on cotton in the corner. Did you notice that?
Oh yeah, I mean it's been a growing problem. The fans are not the AEW hardcore fans don't like the Moxley thing, and then the people who don't like AEW don't like the Moxley thing, and the fans don't react to it. This has been a complete swing and a miss every step of the way.
And they could sing Wild Thing. They knew the words. So it was somewhat there was energy going on. But now this whatever this is, they're just standing there staring at it. And then out comes FTR again. Remember, a year ago, 2 years ago, you heard their music. The people came up. There was a mild pop for FTR and a bigger pop when it was said from Asheville, North Carolina. Yeah, our town. They've killed them even in their hometown. And then Edge came out and got a big pop, but he used to be a star on real television. And he's lived there quite a while also. But now they've got somebody the people will still cheer because they recognize that they were a big deal in the wrestling business a while back in a big company. And we know he can't be Edge. He has to be Adam Copeland because Edge is trademarked. Trademarked, it's been up a tree. But now his new name is Cope. Here's FTR and Cope. And to make sure we get the idea, they called him Cope with every breath.
Excalibur said it nonstop.
Cope is not going to work as a name for Edge. They need to cope now and get over it. Adam Copeland will work.
Get ready for Cope versus Dope on AEW Dynamite. Next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central.
Not even the Cope. Not that it's any better, but...
Well, no, what is the Cope?
But what is Cope?
At the Copacabana, he can get that music. Tony will buy it.
What is Cope other than what the AEW fans need to do with the reality of AEW? Cope with it.
They're monkeying with him by giving him a stupid fucking name.
Oh, no, I promise you this is his idea. I promise you.
Well, I promise you that somebody at a responsible company would have ixnayed it, whether it was his idea or the Pope's idea.
Yeah.
Even if it was the Pope's idea to cope, there'd be no hope for Cope for the Pope.
If FTR really is friends, they didn't say, yeah, this is a bad idea. That's the worst name any wrestler's ever had ever.
So the main event was Wheeler Useless, Claudio, and Dick the Boozer against FTR and Cope. And right as the bell rang, Tony Schiavone plugged the death of Sweet Daddy Siki. So he had a hand in training Cage and Cope and he
Ron Hutchinson.
Ron Hutchinson. He was a real trailblazer for African American. I guarantee you, Tony Schiavone had never fucking seen or heard of Sweet Daddy Siki before 4:00 that afternoon in the production meeting. And Sweet Daddy Siki was a big deal in Ontario, and I'm sure he did have some hand in helping Ron Hutchinson at his school and etc. But a point is somebody just gave Tony bullet points. Talk about Sweet Daddy Siki. Who? He helped train Edge. And Ron Hutchinson. Tony, who? The guy that trained Edge. So the reason for this six-man tag was that the baby faces stopped the heels from pouring bleach down the mascot's throat. So that old angle, that old chestnut. And I was expecting to write, well, you know, FTR's work is great and Edge knows what he's doing and poor Claudio knows what he's doing. It's just these other fucking two. And then I swear to God, Edge got into a spot with Claudio and Edge couldn't figure out that Claudio was the one supposed to have the headlock. And they started doing the fucking they did something and then came together and Claudio was going to uppercut Edge and then grab him in a headlock. But as he went for the uppercut, Edge grabbed him in a headlock. Well, then Claudio backed him in the ropes, but he was like, started to shoot him off, and then he was telling him, I need to have the head. And then they fucking flummoxed around, and then Claudio grabbed the headlock, and then Edge shot him off for the spot. I'm like, even these guys, it's contagious. And Schaefer posted Edge. They went to the break. Moxley got on Edge with his fake forearms and the punches that just embarrassing. Cash Wheeler made a great comeback. He, again...
No, always with him. He's always really good.
In the ring, he may be the best. I said Shelton Benjamin was the best wrestler on the roster, and he is because he's gotten over with no help. But Cash may be the best in-ring physical performer, and you never get to see it practically, and he's been made completely meaningless on the card. And, but it's good stuff. And at least they timed their break. They went to their last break at 3 minutes till 10 because they came back on at 10 o'clock so they could get that big overrun. And finally, they built all match to Edge and the plumber getting in. And they got in and faced off with each other and traded forearms. And then Edge went for the spear, but Moxley rolled out. So they fought to the back of the arena and then fought back to the same place they left, and Moxley tagged out. They just had to go back into stands for no fucking reason for 45 seconds. And then Edge and Wheeler got in the ring and did shit while you could see on camera the other four guys crouched on the floor in the respective corners just looking up watching, waiting for their cue. Not selling. There wouldn't be anything to sell that long anyway, but just taking a knee and watching what was going on instead of being on the apron involved in the match. I know 15 guys that would have kicked the shit out of all of these guys for doing that stuff, and now they call it that way. So they crotched Edge on the ring post and leveled FTR because they're ineffective and don't matter. And then Moxley put Edge on the desk and took forever. He was going for a pile driver, but he was milking it. And then you realize he was taking so long and milking it, and time was standing still because Jay White had to come to hit the ring behind everybody's back and hit his finish on Wheeler. And then Claudio and Schaefer chased Jay White to the entranceway. And Edge backdropped Moxley on the announce desk, and then the camera panned over, or they pulled up the shot of Claudio and Marina Schaefer at the tunnel standing there staring at Jay White. And they missed the shot of Edge spearing Moxley through the railing. And then all three babyfaces suddenly jumped up into the ring, and FTR hit their finish on Wheeler, and Edge speared him 1, 2, 3. Because the hometown guys had to win, and nobody's going to beat Moxley, so everybody beats Useless. And Jay White was necessary in this confusing fucking mess because he has some issue going on with these other fuckers. And you can't expect any kind of coherence when you're trying to keep 18 alleged angles alive all at the same time. So there you go, and that was that show. What'd you think?
I mean, there were moments the people there really seemed to get into it. There were also some cold tags.
Ugh.
I'm not a big Edge fan, and I never really have been. And I think he was a main eventer in a period of time where there weren't a lot of main eventers still there because a lot of guys were starting to leave. And also when the company was the main event more than the actual wrestlers. And since he returned to WWE and then came to AEW, I just haven't enjoyed any of his stuff. And then you start thinking like, well, they keep telling me he's a legend, but I don't really like anything he does. I hate his promos.
Well, remember, I was more complimentary, especially when he was in the WWE, because the shit made sense, came together, did get a little dramatic at points, but I was pulling for him. He's a heck of a guy. But, especially after this last time when he jumped off the cage and hurt himself, he's been gone so long, he comes back and everything else is so dreary. There's nothing that he can get into that you really think he can lift up or do anything with.
Yeah, see, I don't think there's much excitement about Cope versus Dope. I don't think a lot of people want to see him against Moxley. I don't think FTR has any excitement from any fans right now. Because this was the best case scenario. Hometown fans.
They just gave $25,000 to the city and they still couldn't get a standing ovation.
I don't know. I think that all these guys have had a lot of damage and we blame Tony, but a lot of it is also self-induced. When you decide you're going to be Cope, and he put up a picture on social media, or someone did, of him and his attorney, like celebrating that they got the notice that they trademark Cope.
Oh, good God.
So this has been in the plannings for a while.
Oh, boy.
And I think he's going to have to cope with the fact that no one likes his name. And he's going to have to cope with the fact that this is a bad idea. And Adam Copeland, actually, it's not as good as Edge because Edge was established. But it's as good as you're going to get.
They knew who Edge was, though, because of the modern idea of, talking about people by their real names as well in publicity. And the fans have kind of figured out that Adam Copeland was Edge's real name.
Yeah, I mean, the song says you don't know me. Yeah, because you keep changing your fucking name. Just pick one and stick with it. I get you can't use Edge, but we've already seen you as Adam on this show for a while. You broke your leg, you were Adam Copeland. You come back, you're just Cope.
Couldn't he have been Corner?
What?
If he couldn't be Edge, could he be Corner?
Yeah, that's the thing. Could he be the Edge? Could he change his name legally to Edge Copeland?
Well, no, then the U2 guy would get on him, wouldn't he?
Well, I mean, it's two Stings. It's two different forms of entertainment. Unless he puts out an album, then he'd be fine.
Well, I'll tell you, they had a fight over that. Fucking Steve Borden finally put him in a Scorpion Deathlock, and Sting was like, "Oh, Roxanne, come help me out of this Scorpion Deathlock. You win."
Another one in your vocal range. Yeah, you're very fortunate here today.
Roxanne, you don't want to turn on your TV. AEW's on tonight. You don't want to see this stuff, I'm telling you. Go out and turn tricks.
That's the problem.
Take sperm from strangers.
All right.
It'll be more fun than watching AEW.
Will you stop it? But that's
Roxanne.
But that's the problem here. You have FTR who've barely been on this show. They've been on Collision, I guess, I assume. But the fans, this is their hometown crowd. This is the best it's going to get. Adam Copeland hasn't been on this show. He's now back. Moxley's been all over this show. And the fans don't want to see him anymore, and they don't react to him. And then Claudio, Marina, and Wheeler, yeah, that is his name, Wheeler,
yeah,
are just charisma vacuums.
What happened to Pac? He's in the group. He doesn't come to work anymore. Not that I'm complaining.
He probably needs a visa renewal. It's that time of the year.
I thought Moxley was the king of that country. He should be able to wave his scepter and get Pac in.
Yeah, well, that's, but then they get that moment. This is, how many times did that happen with Pac, where he's in the middle of stuff, he disappears, you don't even notice. And then a few weeks later, you're like, hey, where's Pac? And then a couple months later, he just shows up again like, oh my God, it's Pac. He's returned from the abyss more times than anyone in AEW. And that was Dynamite.